All right, let's get into the day's news now. Joining me is the Shadow Attorney General, Andrew Wallace. Andrew, good to see you as always. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's start with the expenses scandal. Susan Lee today is offering a bipartisan expenses reform. Effectively, she's almost forcing the Prime Minister's hand on this. Are you concerned about how many MPs or senators on both sides of politics could now get caught up if indeed there is some sort of a reform?
Well, I think Susan's right to write to the Prime Minister and ask him for a meeting to discuss how these expenses can be reformed. Because it's not just a matter of whether something complies with the letter of the law. Australians are doing it incredibly tough at the moment, Danica. We're in a cost of living crisis. It's Christmas time. There are many people who can't afford to pay their bills and pay for presents for their kids. And to hear some of the absolutely outrageous costs that are being clocked up to the Australian taxpayer, it really angers me, I've got to tell you, because it just becomes sort of like a pox on both your houses. Australians don't care whether you're Labor or Liberal or whoever you are. You know, if you're a politician, as far as Australians are concerned, they think that you've got your nose in the trough, and that is just not correct for the vast bulk of us. But it gives us all a bad name.
Well, look, it absolutely does, and it's certainly not what any taxpayer would expect from the political class right now. So it'll be very interesting to see where this goes, whether or not the Prime Minister does agree to do some sort of reform. We'll see. But of course, this has now overshadowed the social media ban this week for under-16s. And we just found out today that Reddit, which is a US platform, has filed a challenge against the ban, claiming it infringes on free political speech and poses serious privacy risks. Andrew, this was, of course, a bipartisan policy. Do you expect that more social media platforms will take action like this against it?
Look, time will tell, Danica. I don't know is the short answer. I don't think anybody does. But the reality is that these platforms make billions of dollars from Australians and even a whole lot more across the world. And the eyes of the world are on these new reforms. We saw at the UN that there are many countries that are now looking at these reforms. It was a coalition policy that we took to the last election. Let's be serious about this. We had to drag the government kicking and screaming on this to keep kids safe. So these platforms will view these laws in Australia as a litmus test, and they will stop at nothing to try and ensure that, as far as they're concerned, it doesn't spread to other countries, because they will lose hundreds of billions of dollars if other countries start taking this up. And I hope they do. I want to see kids, not just in Australia, protected from these platforms. I want to see kids across the world protected from them as well.
Well, it's been a fascinating week. Look, I want to get to some other topics. It's been a busy news day. In the last few hours, Brittany Higgins is now officially bankrupt after the federal court on today formally actually approved that, of course, following her defamation case lost to former Senator Linda Reynolds. And just on that, Linda Reynolds has also indicated that she would ask the corruption watchdog to reopen its investigation into that $2.4 million settlement that was, of course, handed to Brittany Higgins from Labor. Would you support an inquiry?
I would absolutely support the NAC reopening this investigation. The National Committee, the Anti-Corruption Commission, it is set up to establish and investigate whether there was any systemic or corrupt conduct on the part of government officials. What we have here is a stench over this whole affair. We've seen a payment made to Brittany Higgins by the government of some $2.4 million. And let's just put this in perspective. For the average Australian punter, Danica, that's 27 years of blood, sweat and tears in income. 27 years it will take the average Australian to earn that sort of money before tax. That is a long time. It's a lot of money. And what we saw was the government hand that $2.4 million over to Brittany Higgins in very dubious circumstances, where Linda Reynolds was refused the right to be able to go to a mediation and defend her good name at the mediation. She was refused that opportunity after a half-day mediation without any proceedings even having been filed in the court. That's just, it is just mind-blowing. And that was after an extension of time was provided in which Brittany could have actually commenced proceedings. That decision was made by the Commonwealth without any reference to Linda whatsoever. This stinks to high heaven. I was really disappointed to read the decision of the NAC when they initially dismissed it, and I was very pleased to hear that the Commissioner the other day said that Linda Reynolds should she's welcome to reapply again for a further investigation based on the outcomes of the 2 court cases.
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, Linda Reynolds has nothing to lose now. You've got 2 judges that have already said no, there wasn't a political cover-up. We still don't know why Brittany Higgins was given that $2.4 million of our money. All these years later, we're still none the wiser as to actually what went on during that time with Labor. Andrew Wallace, we've got to leave it there. Good to catch up as always. Thanks very much.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.